Good evening. This is Maestro Cretella with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today we have a 3v3 on Argent Shelf Redux. Our first player is Noble, playing as the Commissar Lord. He's this guy, his face is all messed up, he's got a bionic eye. He starts out with a sword, you can get a power fist for him, a power claw, and he gets a free energy shield. Next up, we've got Cheddar Bob, also known as Kickin'. He is playing as the Chaos Lord. The Chaos Lord is a tanky Chaos melee commander, also does some decent range damage, especially if you get the Combi Flamer. He can also let the galaxy burn, a very powerful range spell that he can use against blobs of infantry. He's also a Terminator, or he has Terminator armor, so he cannot be knocked down or suppressed. Next up, we've got BjOrN as another Chaos Lord. This one is actually at level 60, so he does get that big demon sword instead of the power sword that Cheddar Bob had. On the other side, we have our third Chaos Lord. This one also level 60. This one is played by nnank76. Just going to call him Nank. He's just running around right now using that range damage to kill some guardsmen. Next up, we've got Sir Topi playing as the Force Commander. He's got a bolt pistol and a chainsword. He is a tanky melee hero. He can tie things up. He can disrupt melee units with battle cry. And he can punch vehicles with a power fist. And then finally, we have a nice bastard. So this guy, he is playing as the Inquisitor, who's got, look at her death mask. So this must be a Deathcore of Krieg Inquisitor. She has a gas mask. She is a disabling and debuffing commander. She can also do some melee fighting as well. She can be a pretty tanky melee hero if you upgrade her in certain ways. She can be very powerful and very good. Alright. So, we definitely do have some Deathcore of Krieg. We do see these kind of like World War II themed guardsmen right here. Their lasguns actually look like MP40s or whatever. Chaos Lord right here has been stunned by the Hammer of the Witches. That is the starting ability for the Inquisitor. She can just target a single model and stun it and do 100 damage. It is particularly good against heroes and especially tanky melee heroes. A great way to stun and control them, and then they just get focus fired by guardsmen and sentinels. I'd say the Inquisitor is really a great melee counter. Can very effectively counter melee units of pretty much all types, whether it's single entity melee heroes, high damage melee squads, jump units. She starts out with that Hammer of the Witches, which is mostly for the single entities, and then she's got several other melee counter abilities later on, which are better for squads. Right there, she was getting suppressed by double Havocs, so we've got a Havoc out of both BjOrN and Cheddar Bob, and they're both Chaos Lord players. Now, one of the great things about, well, we've got some Khorne worship. I just like the way with Khorne worship you can very quickly put your Havocs into position. They still need that setup time, but you can just very quickly run them into position with Khorne worship, which I think is pretty nice. Sometimes just getting your Havocs into position or any suppression team into position can be tricky. There's always like kind of a fine balance between running it ahead to be in a so that they're actually close to your opponent, but not running them too far up. Sometimes, of course, just better to lead in with a different unit. But you also don't want your Havocs or suppression team to hang back too much where they're not doing anything. Chaos Lord right here from Nank has been upgraded with the Combi Flamer. I think that's a very good choice against Imperial Guard. It basically turns the Chaos Lord into a ranged unit, and the Chaos Lord is definitely going to have trouble actually doing stuff in melee against Imperial Guard. So it's just nice to give him the DPS of a ranged squad when you give him that Combi Flamer. And he can chase down Sentinels pretty effectively, lead Guardsman models. And if he can get close enough to use Immolate, he should be able to take out this multi-laser turret. But I think he was having trouble with that because of basically all the other units right here, the double Sentinels as well as the Guardsmen, probably just focusing him down before he could get close. You know, we've got a Sentinel being very, very brazen right here. This Sentinel may not make it out alive, but actually I think it will. Actually ran forward, managed to get a stomp. We've got Assault Marines jumping. But at this point, we've got triple Havocs, and the Assault Marines managed to jump into the firing arc of another Havoc, and now they're actually getting absolutely murdered by heretics, and I think that was a really, really bad jump that could result in the wipe of these assault Space Marines. I think they're getting lucky with that retreat path that they didn't have to retreat through the heretics. Otherwise, I think that would have been a wipe on those assault Marines. We've got a Inquisitor right here who has been upgraded with the Interrogator's armor. This grants her the Silently ability, and she can basically cast it on any target squad and infiltrate them. It is most commonly used on Catachan Devils, Ogrins, and the Inquisitor herself, and especially works out with the Inquisitor if you give her some other war gears, particularly the Holy Brazier, since that makes her a better melee fighter. Grenade went in and killed a bunch of these units, I think. It must have been a grenade. Yeah, Scout Grenade, definitely. Meanwhile, back over here, we've got some Noise Marines out for... This is nnank. I like the choice of Noise Marines. Noise Marines in general they're actually a very good unit. They certainly have their limitations, but they are very good, and I especially like them against Imperial Guard, especially getting them in a long extended build, but they're really pretty good all around for many different reasons. Anyway. Well, over here we've got our Chaos players and our Imperial Guard players. They seem to be like kind of fighting almost like a war of attrition. Neither one of them is being too aggressive. They're just kind of moving around, positioning, standing around. Meanwhile, over here, nnank actually managed to push forward. Not only did he take out the multi-laser turret, actually managed to push forward and destroy much of this power farm, courtesy of these Noise Marines. And I think the Noise Marines were pretty instrumental both in destroying that power farm as well as getting rid of the multi-laser turret. These grenade launcher heretics gotta go or they will get killed, and he does retreat them in time. Havocs are gonna reposition, but yeah, they've got to reposition. I think the Chaos Lord is chasing after the Havocs, however, so I think that what the Chaos Space Marines need to do is they need to stop running and actually just start shooting at the Chaos Lord, because the Chaos Lord is focusing on the Havocs. Especially now, if he actually nnank brings his own Chaos Lord back here, there should be a winning engagement for nnank, but he needs, again, he's running around with these Chaos Space Marines. He's finally stopped and just realized what's going on, and then with the Noise Marines here providing another way to kite and focus fire, this should be it. Yeah, that should force off that Chaos Lord. Looks like the red team actually has managed to push forward, and now they are generator bashing. We do have shotgun scouts. They do a lot of damage. Shotgun scouts normally, well, they're up against Chaos. Looks like Cheddar Bob actually lost his own Havoc, though, but BjOrN luckily still has 2. And we've got some massive wreck floats from our Chaos team. I think that's, I don't know, kind of courtesy of the Chaos Lord having a fairly strong economy, certainly better than, well, I'd say better than, I don't know, actually. But I think the Chaos Lord can get away with few economic losses if he draws most of the attention and fire himself, since he will not bleed. And make sure he doesn't lose too many Chaos Space Marine models. Some missiles are going in, and they managed to kill one of the Noise Marine models. Here's a Manticore Strike. Oh my God, wipes out a Havoc. Oh dear. nnank just got hit really, really hard right there. Oh no, he's gonna lose this squad too. All right, he's not gonna lose that squad, but it was certainly a close call. So he did not react quickly enough to that Manticore Strike at all. Meanwhile, we've got some fully upgraded scouts. However, I'd say one of the disadvantages, or just one of the ways that the scouts right now have not been too well managed, is that they're just sitting here under infiltration. Shotgun scouts are best when you can use one of their abilities out of infiltration, where you really need to manage the energy, since I don't remember, well, I believe between the shotgun blast and the grenade, one of them costs 50 energy, another one costs 60. I don't remember which, but either way, you need to manage your energy, because if you don't manage your energy, you won't be able to use either one of those abilities out of infiltration. And that's really how you can kind of get the maximum effectiveness out of those, I'd say, infiltrated scouts. Sentinel's in a lot of trouble, and one Sentinel goes down for BjOrN. He was trying to come over here to support his teammate, and I actually thought he might have had the edge with double Sentinels against Nice Bastard's single Sentinel, but Nice Bastard also already had these Plasma Gun Guardsmen, and that's going to be very good against the power armor of all the Chaos players, and it's actually very good against the Sentinel, which does have heavy armor. Heavy weapon team's got to go, though. We have the Inquisitor go down, Grenade goes in, and actually does quite a bit of damage since the Chaos Space Marines were suppressed. And this is actually, oh my god, Autocannon Heavy Weapon Team, or Autocannon Havoc rather, does do a huge amount of damage to Guardsmen, can be very, very effective against Guardsmen. Bloodletters have teleported in. They would murder these tactical Marines, but the Assault Marines have jumped on top of them to disrupt them. And yeah, now the Bloodletters, smart choice by Cheddar Bob to have them phase out into the warp, make them invulnerable so that they don't suffer any more damage. But he's actually way overextending otherwise. Probably going to lose his Heretic Squad, or, well, I think he's lucky not to because Sir Topi actually retreated his Assault Marines. But otherwise, I feel like the loss Cheddar Bob is taking right now, he's probably going to lose a Bloodletter model. We did see some attempted attack ground by Nice Bastard to hit the Bloodletters on their approach. Some more missiles are going to go in. Those Chaos Space Marines managed to finish their upgrade to Tzeentch. They did not actually lose any models yet, but now they're going to lose models. Need to be very careful. And wow, down to just one model. Meanwhile, we do have this Missile Launcher Sentinel. It looks like that Missile Launcher is angling up to fire up. Sentinel right here is running away, which I'm guessing means the Stomp is on cooldown. We have a Force Commander now upgraded with the Iron Halo and the Armor of Alacrity. So interesting. You don't. I feel like you don't see Armor of Alacrity that much, but it can be very good. Passively increases the Force Commander's speed by 0.5, which I think is actually a very good thing. And then you even get the Sprint ability, which is an active ability that I believe increases his speed by 2. Anyway, we've got an upgrade on this Chaos Lord, upgraded to the Blood Maul, which almost seems like a curious upgrade. Well, as an isolated, I feel like it's a little surprising to see it as a single isolated upgrade, but it will be pretty effective for countering the Assault Marines. This Sentinel is now in a little bit of trouble. Did get snared, although we don't really have a high damage follow-up. If nnank still had Chaos Space Marines and he had upgraded them to the Mark of Tzeentch, they would be very, very dangerous to these Sentinels. You know, we've got Noise Marines again going for a Generator Bash, but they're going to start taking some missile hits, or the missiles are going to miss, as well as the Plague Marines are just going to kind of scare off that Sentinel. Sentinel, meanwhile, is at pretty low health. The Guardsman, I think, should actually go over and repair, and Noble's actually really having a lot of trouble right now in his lane. He's been giving up this power a lot, and I think that's part of... I think a lot of that has to do with he lost his Sentinel. Oh my god! But wow, we had a double right here with some Khorne-worshipped Khorne Chaos Space Marines, and they actually wiped out nnankk's Noise Marines.
Message received.
And you know, when I think about it, Khorne-worshipped Khorne Chaos Space Marines actually seems like a very, very powerful thing, considering one of the strengths of Khorne Chaos Space Marines is that they already have higher than average speed. They actually have speed 6, which is a very powerful thing. Now, this is, well, I was going to say, BjOrN right here is kind of really taking on more than he can deal with, but luckily we've got support from Cheddar Bob. Cheddar Bob has a completely unupgraded Chaos Lord, though, and he's just standing around shooting things in range. I think at this point, he's probably going to want to upgrade to something. And these Chaos Space Marines right here, oh, at 4 models. Oh my god, a Manticore Strike kills a bunch of stuff. We had even more things getting wiped. Inquisitor, meanwhile, still only has the Interrogator's armor, and unbelievably, Nice Bastard is building a Baneblade. It's amazing, considering some of the other players are still in Tier 2. Nice Bastard is not only in Tier 3, is building the most expensive unit in the game. And we've got double Castricans. We've got double Castricans out from Nice Bastard. No, this is from Noble. We've got double Castricans from Noble, and I don't know what nnank is doing with these Plague Marines. He could lose these Plague Marines. Actually, I don't think even the Castricans with their DPS can do 500 damage to Plague Marines on retreat. But otherwise, I mean, those Plague Marines were in no way were they going to win against those Castricans. You know, we've got a Chaos Predator out for nnank. This Predator, look at the burst damage that it did with the autocannon. Just the amount of damage it does just with that cannon shot. And the actual DPS for the cannon isn't terribly high. It's The figure is actually 32, roughly 32 explosive DPS, but it just does so much just in a single shot, which is just one of the good things about tanks. Tanks, I really feel that a lot of the tanks are very good, so good for their value, so versatile, so do so many things. Anyway, infiltrated shotgun scouts, what are they doing? So this is what I mean. Right now, it's at the scouts are at 75 energy. They should probably throw a grenade on the Havocs before they don't have the energy to do that. But it doesn't look like he's actually going to do that, and he actually just backs off entirely, which I think is a missed opportunity. I mean, he's just running around. I mean, the best that can be said is that he kind of gets intel. He actually sees what they're up to, and already I feel like I hear the Baneblade right here, and I think it's being supported by this bunker, which is definitely a repair bunker. Now, the Baneblade is backing off a bit because of some Chaos Havoc fire with the autocannon. In fact, we've got double autocannon Havocs, and I like that they're placed in two completely different positions, because we'll probably see the Demolisher cannon shot on one of them, this one right here, and that's going to hurt quite a bit, although actually it ended up not going off, and I think it didn't go off maybe because Nice Bastard ended up backing up his Baneblade before it could go off. And the Baneblade actually took a huge amount of damage from that. I think the combination of both autocannons, we also have a Las Cannon Havoc, and yes, it was in range of the Las Cannon Havoc at some point. There goes the Demolisher Cannon. Very, very powerful. And meanwhile, we also have a Chaos Dreadnought right here, which does do a lot of AV damage, but generally, although it does a lot of AV damage, it is still countered by actual tanks, pretty much. But right now, the Las Cannon Havoc is now pretty exposed. So are these Assault Marines, and all of these things are just going to have to back off here. And Cheddar Bob even is retreating his Chaos Lord. I think importantly, I think he really should get an upgrade for his Chaos Lord at this point. Meanwhile, over here, we've got a Lehman Russ out for Noble, and we have more Magicro Strikes going in, knocking over the Plague Marines. And, you know, actually, I mean, I think the Blood Maul for BjOrN might be a pretty good choice, and this Chaos Lord is now fully kitted out. What I like about the Blood Maul is that it's going to do, is that it's going to stun, which I think is going to work out pretty well in combination with the Khorne Chaos Space Marines, because he can stun something like the Assault Marines, and then the follow-up damage from the Khorne Chaos Space Marines will be absolutely brutal. Now we've got two Chaos players. They are up against a Imperial Guard player, and generally, certainly, at least from one of the things we've seen, is that Chaos can struggle a little bit against Imperial Guard in the late game in team games. And I think a lot of that has to do with the strength of Imperial Guard armor. That being said, we only have one IG player. And although we do also have a Space Marine player, which is also a race that is pretty strong in terms of late game in general, and late game armor as well. Imperial, oh my god, Demolisher Cannon shot those, oh my god, those Kasrkins. We saw one squad of Kasrkin get wiped entirely, and the other one is down to the last model. Unfortunately, I think Noble really pushed his luck there. Should have gotten those Kasrkins out of there way earlier. We've got, you know, something's going to die here. Unfortunately, I think the Khorne Predator is going to be one of the casualties of this engagement. Yeah, there's no way. At this point, the Khorne Predator is probably going to be one of the casualties. So Khorne Predator goes down. We are going to see, you know what, the Lehman Russ is probably going to go down as well. Yes, especially considering we do have Assault Terminators. So the combination of Assault Terminators and the Plague Marines should be enough. But you know what? The Las Cannon Predator... Oh, Las Cannon Predator needs to get the heck out of there so that it does not get hit by another missile hit from the Sentinel. But the Sentinel itself might go down to these Assault Terminators. One missile hit, and wow, a lot of things... Wow, I mean, look at Noble's army. Noble just lost most of his army. But yeah, that ended up being a pretty nice assist by Sir Topi, calling in those Terminators right there. And, you know, I really like that Terminator usage, because I think one of the things that I've always done, just that I saw... Oh my god, let's stop talking about that. Look at Let the Galaxy Burn, wiping Guardsman squads, nearly wiped a Guardsman squad, and a rocket run! I think 3 Imperial Guard squads just died, and even some more stuff got hit really hard, and now the Baneblade is now in a huge amount of trouble. Both the Land Raider Phobos and the Chaos Dreadnought are just pushing forward. Sentinel is going to go down, and where did all these Chaos Lords come from as well? And the Baneblade is absolutely in trouble right now. One shot from either the Land Raider Phobos or the Chaos Dreadnought should finish it off. Actually, a Chaos Dreadnought missile went in, and now it's finally down. But the Land Raider Phobos is actually in a lot of trouble. Where is the Dirge Caster? There it is. I feel like so many players forget that that even exists, or they don't even know. It's actually a really good ability, and you need to use it. Oh my god, but here is an Imperial Abyss on top of the Havoc. Oh, it's going to wipe a bunch of stuff. Did not wipe the Havoc, but it wiped something else. I didn't even see what it was. I think it was some squad for Cheddar Bob. Meanwhile, oh, this is beautiful. So that's actually a really, really good thing about the Blood Maul. The fact that it's actually going to be very, very good against the Terminators because it's going to stun them. I mean, the Lightning Claws would actually be kind of good as well, just because it would be a lot of power melee damage. These Corncast Space Marines actually in a lot of trouble right now. They got hit by a grenade trying to steal the garrison, I think, or something. But what I wanted to say before about Sir Topi was that he used his Terminators, he used them as a call-in to help win an engagement. And I think that's really significant. Using call-ins like Terminators or any other call-in really, oh my god, Maneater Strike wipes a Heretic Squad. But using any call-in to help you win an engagement by virtue of the fact that you can use the call-in anywhere. You can put Terminators down behind your opponent's vehicle. And that's something that's very, very powerful. Now, they're meleeing down this Imperial Guard bunker. It would actually be more powerful, yes, to shoot with the missiles. That would be much faster. But I mean, the red team suffering immensely after that engagement. I mean, just look at the army sizes that the blue team has right now. They actually have a significant VP disadvantage, and I don't remember exactly what the flow of the game was like, but I guess it must have been more or less more in favor of the red team before now. I think the Dreadnought should back off, let the Land Raider push forward. But even the Land Raider needs to be really careful, and BjOrN unfortunately completely overextending his Chaos Lord, and he loses him. And now, unfortunately, the blue team definitely pushing their luck. We'll probably see this Dreadnought go down. Even the Phobos is in a bit of trouble. It is stunning those Assault Marines with the Dirge Caster. But yeah, Dreadnought goes down. I saw that coming. Meanwhile, we had an Imperial Abyss that I missed, but to be honest, I don't think it even did much. And now we've got a great Unclean One from BjOrN. So I think that's pretty cool. They, BjOrN and Cheddar Bob, they decided to go for they went for different Chaos Super Units, which I think is pretty nice. The two different Chaos Super Units they definitely serve very, very different purpose. And I mean that should be, it sounds obvious, but it can really, if you think about it, it can really like help you decide which one to get, because the Land Raider Phobos is going to provide you with constant ranged damage output, both from the las cannons as well as that heavy bolter on top. And the statistic for that heavy bolter that's on top, at least from what I saw, it was very high. In practice, I don't feel like it's as high as the statistic that I found, which was that it supposedly does 80 DPS, which if it does, that's extremely good. But regardless, you just get constant range DPS out of your Land Raider Phobos, which is different from the Great Unclean One, which provides you with no range DPS whatsoever. You do get that area of effect output from the aura that it has, kind of the aura around it, the plague aura. You get that, and then you get the abilities. And what I find the Great Unclean One can be good for is especially good if your opponent doesn't have a lot of things like Plasma or Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines. So I find I generally like it against Orcs, since most of their range DPS is going to be piercing, unless they choose to get Blastas on Flash Kits. So, yeah. And we have a little bit of a lull, but these sneaky scouts are just going for a back cap. Right now, none of the cast players have noticed. Although, certainly once they get the decap off, now they are completely visible, and they actually just run away. And I think right there, Sir Topi is just a little bit concerned about not losing his scouts. He doesn't want them to have to retreat through a whole blob of stuff. Anyway, I don't like that Hell Fury Strike. As we can see, it really did not do a whole lot of damage to those Kashrkins, and the Kashrkins just ran out of it, and now they're actually pretty safe. We've got some heavy weapon teams from Noble. He's got one las cannon. What even happened? I don't even know what happened, but we saw the las cannon go down. We also saw the heretics go down. And we've got our double cast predators, one Zinch, one vanilla now. nnank, wow, has really lost a lot of stuff. He doesn't even have any heretics that are going to be able to repair his predators, and he needs to get this predator out of there. Like, this predator now is 57 health with no repair support whatsoever. We've got the Great Unclean One moving forward. Great Unclean One now in a little bit of trouble. One ability is on cooldown. I don't know which one it is. It wasn't the Vomit, because there goes the Vomit. But the Great Unclean One now in a huge amount of trouble. Unfortunately, severely overextended. Really need to get it out of there. If we could move some heretics in for some worship, maybe both give it that health regeneration as well as get it to run out of there. The Chaos Lord supported by using Let the Galaxy Burn, but the Chaos Lord himself is going to go down. Assault Terminators in a lot of trouble. They are stunned, I think, from the Dirge Caster. Now the Land Raider Phobos is kind of taking over on Superunit duty, and I mean, just look at the way Cheddar Bob and BjOrN are actually pushing forward, and they're actually doing very, very well with the late game. This Predator, oh my god, the Predator just went down to Zinch cast Space Marine Fire. Unfortunately, that was very, very misguided to have that Predator exposed like that. Really should not mess around with a vehicle, especially one as expensive as a tank and as useful as a tank. Should not run it around with that low health like that. There are just so many little things that can actually finish it off that you might not even normally think of as a V, and the Zinch Chaos Space Marines are a really perfect example of that. You know, we're going to see some Chaos Space Marines or some Chaos Terminators out for nnank. He's going for force melee on the Guardsman. I actually feel like that's not as important. I actually feel like he should take out the Castricans first. Let the cap go down, because it's going to be just threaten the Terminators a lot more. Rather, the Castricans... Oh no, and that teleport, he's really putting himself at risk here, especially if these Castricans actually decide to get Plasma Guns. And now we have a Baneblade for Noble. Meanwhile, a lot of stuff's going on right here. We have a Land Raider Redeemer from Topia. I feel like the red team managing to stay in here despite not having that many vehicles. This is actually a terrible situation for the Land Raider Redeemer, getting hit by the Las Cannon Havoc as well as a Las Cannon Predator. There is so much AV damage actually coming out for the Chaos team right now. But this... Why isn't this Predator moving? Why isn't this Predator moving? Oh my god. This is so painful to watch. We're going to really need to see a Dirge Caster right here. And now the Land Raider Phobos is in a huge amount of trouble. Because... What? Oh, that was Nice Bastards. Manticore Strike. It must have been. And the Land Raider Phobos goes down. For a second, I thought that was a friendly Manticore Strike. But no, it wasn't a friendly Manticore Strike. It was a very unfriendly Manticore Strike. We're definitely seeing a lot of the Librarian here has been upgraded to have the Gate of Infinity, or rather the Psychic Hood, which gives him the Gate of Infinity. Allows him to teleport any unit to his location. A good way for supporting Terminators and saving them in situations where they would otherwise be screwed. Commissar Lord right here. Go for the Plague Marines. Go for the Plague Marines. Oh, but he's only got his default sword. Wow, Noble does not have any upgrades whatsoever on that Commissar Lord. I'm pretty sure that any upgraded weapon on that Commissar Lord would have finished off those Plague Marines. Certainly either the Power Claw or the Power Fist definitely would have, and to be honest, I think even the Power Sword would have. But Red Team's still looking pretty thin as far as their armies. nnanks unit preservation in particular has not been very good at all. Sir Topi, I think, has been doing very well. Meanwhile, Cheddar Bob's making a new Phobos, and BjOrN is pumping out some tanks. This is going to be a little tough for him to support. I actually feel Noble could actually really help... he could actually really help BjOrN a lot by giving him a repair bunker. Now with 2 vehicles, he could support both of his tanks with a repair bunker, and then his heretics could be strictly supporting the Great Unclean One. By worshiping, oh my god, Assault Marines jump into way more than they can actually deal with. The Great Unclean One has been judged, but you know what? The Great Unclean One can actually deal with that. We do have some Let the Galaxy Burn. We've got some tanks and autocannon taking shots at the Inquisitor, who has activated the Inquisitorial Mandate. Inquisitorial Mandate grants the impenetrable ability. It makes her invulnerable, increases her move speed. It can be a pretty useful ability. Anyway, bunker's actually going down for the red team. Going to support both the Leman Russ as well as the Land Raider Redeemer. Right now it's not upgrade, but I feel like it's going to be a repair bunker, since we already have reinforcement and health regeneration from the Land Raider Redeemer. Meanwhile, Noble is now upgrading to the Fist of Brachus. It's actually pretty amazing that he's got a level 5 Commissar Lord with no upgrades whatsoever. Meanwhile, Demolisher Cannon Shot goes in. Actually, I think mostly misses the Terminators, but the Terminators, oh, they are now very well countered by double Castricans. They teleport out of there. nnank, unfortunately, not doing very well in this lane, actually absolutely getting murdered. And the combination, I feel, of Castricans as well as the Fist of Brachus is going to be extremely tough to deal with, especially with no units. What can you do with no units? Anyway, red team trying to push up right here. Chaos Havoc's now in a bit of trouble, but the Terminators seem to be prioritizing. Oh, they are going after the Chaos Havocs. I thought they were going to prioritize the Great Unclean One. They're actually, it seems like they're going for a bunch of different things. They definitely could have wiped the Havocs, but they missed that opportunity. They also have been stunned by the Chaos Lords, Blood Maul. So I think they're actually going for the Chaos Terminators, which have Lightning Claws, and those Terminators, I feel, were in so many risky situations, but that Gate of Infinity is being incredibly useful to get them out of trouble. That being said, they're actually still in trouble because they're getting targeted by Meltagun Castricans, which we got one level 4, the other one level 3, and I really like, right there we saw the Librarian possibly going down. Wow, that's unbelievable. Really, really lucky right there. I thought it was going to get wiped. And that was a lot of the Great Unclean One using the Foul Snare ability, which is basically the same as Flesh Hook, except it's on a super unit. I actually really like the Great Unclean One for that Foul Snare ability. One of the great things about the Great Unclean One is that he's a pretty good single entity counter, which is something I especially like because the Sorcerer struggles with single entities. So he's good against single entities with that Foul Snare ability, as well as even just meleeing them outright, since he has so much more health and does a lot of heavy melee damage. Anyway, Manticore Strike's going in, absolutely murdering some Chaos Space Marines. Actually, they didn't even lose any models, even though they lost a lot of health. That being said, Great Unclean One is now clearly overextended, and yeah, it's starting to back out of there. I think it will get away without dying. I think this Chaos Predator, this Lascan Predator, actually very, very brazen. It's the Terminators are going after it. They take it out. That was unfortunately not a good move to move that Predator up there with so little health. I think just the threat of the Leman Russ right here, and this is a Vanquisher Leman Russ. Yeah, should not really have messed around with that. You know, I think this Land Raider Phobos is actually getting hit by friendly fire from his own las cannon. And this is going to be a dead Land Raider Phobos. He might have been hitting his own las cannon. He might have been hitting his own Land Raider Phobos with the las cannon, just because even though you can't manually target your own units, your friendly las cannons will hit vehicles if the vehicles is in the way of something that the las cannon's trying to target. Even if it's trying to target an infantry squad. We've got some Castricans right here. They throw their crack grenades on top of that Predator, and we've got, this is BjOrN not even quite reacting. That being said, he's not going to lose the Predator, since the Castricans are not trying to follow up against the Predator, but here is another Leman Russ. Does not have the Vanquisher, but it is going in with a health advantage against a less durable vehicle, and that's, I think BjOrN's given up on this Predator. You know, we had an orbital bombardment, actually did nothing except pressure that Predator to move forward, which is actually something. Cheddar Bob, he's got the resources to get another Land Raider Phobos. He's got his third Land Raider Phobos cooking. And we've got a bunker going down right here. So we've got another World of Tanks game. I keep saying that whenever there's a lot of tanks, even though I've yet to play World of Tanks. But that's a very forward bunker. It's quite literally a forward bunker, and it's so forward that that he actually just straight up steals it. So Cheddar Bob now he's got a fully upgraded Cast Lord with exactly the same war gear as as BjOrN, which is nice. It gives them both that Blood Maul, which they can use to stun Terminators. A lot of things are going to happen right now. There's going to be a Manticore Strike going in. Manticore Strike actually missing most of its targets, or at least it's just hitting targets that can actually take the hits. I think this Predator's going to go down. It does go down. Plague Marine's also in a little bit of trouble, but I think they'll be fine. Commissar running in very, very brazen, just gets hit by a huge amount of things. Here's an Imperial Abyss on top of the Lehman Russes, and that actually ends up being not too good at all, but we had some Bloodletters jumping through, and they actually managed to wipe out a squad of Terminators. So the Lehman Russes, actually one of them must have went down, and the other one is actually definitely going to go down as well, just taking too many hits. I think it walked forward to avoid the Lehman Russes walked forward to avoid the Imperial Abyss, and actually just walked right into all of these AV units, that all of the Havocs, 3 Havocs. Now we've got a Manticore and a Cast Predator in a little bit of trouble. Great Unclean One going after them, but doesn't do any ranged AV, so... And we also got the Inquisitor right here, hit by Foul Snare. Now she's in a bit of trouble, and the Great Unclean One running away from there. This Manticore Strike is going to be really, really deadly. Oh! Hits all the setup teams. One of those setup teams for BjOrN is done. And if those Chaos Terminators had actually stayed there, they might have gotten wiped themselves. So it's a 1-to-1 cap. Oh my god, what died here? Man, I can't remember the last time that nnank had like more than the Assault Marines. If they actually just pursue, they can actually finish off this Manticore with melee damage. I think they should have actually jumped, because they're not going to do it with range damage, but they will do it with melee damage. Oh, they missed their opportunity. If they had jumped behind the Manticore and just meleeed it, they actually would have finished off the Manticore. Unfortunately, that was not the right decision to just walk right to it. Chaos Lord moving in. He's actually upgrading to Lightning Claw, so this is nnankk's Chaos Lord. Meanwhile, over here, we've got the Land Raider Phobos. Gets hit by some Plague Marines. Plague Marines are actually shooting at the Land Raider Phobos, even while still capping. They're doing damage to that Land Raider Phobos. I actually feel like it would have been a better idea to capture the bunker, because it would immediately start repairing the Land Raider Phobos. Meanwhile, Land Raider Phobos actually doesn't have any repair support at the moment. Where are his heretics? They're right here. They need to get repairing that Land Raider Phobos, which is probably going to get hit with Judgment sometime soon, unless this Inquisitor is just out of... Yeah, she needs to get out of there now, but I thought she was going to be able to use Judgment. Meanwhile, another Manticore Strike, mostly missing things, does not hit much. Another Predator goes down. So the Red team, they've been hanging on, but you know what? I think this is it for them. They don't have a whole lot of time. Only Plague Marines going over here. The most they're going to be able to do is get the decap off, but they might lose a whole lot of models in the process. Meanwhile, we've got... Oh my, Manticore Strike going in on the Land Raider Phobos. Alright, these Plague Marines are probably going to go for the decap. Nothing to actually stop them, aside from maybe this Baneblade. But if we also get a decap here by this Chaos Lord, that's probably going to be it. So, decap by the Plague Marines, 1-to-1 cap, but now a decap over here. Blue team has the single cap, and that should be it. Unless the cap goes up over here, but I don't think there's enough time. Alright, and there isn't. So, the blue team takes it 125-0. Hope you enjoyed the cast. You know, before we finish, let's take a look at the levels. Level 7 Commissar Lord, level 10 Cast Lord, another level 10 Cast Lord. Cast Lord is so good at leveling, which just makes him even more powerful than he already is. Level 8 Cast Lord, level 8 Force Commander, and a level 5 Inquisitor. Alright, that's it. Have a good night.